You are Locked On Braves POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, your team every day.
And hello and welcome into the Braves POSTCAST. Grant McAuley and Jake Mastroianni with you on a great afternoon of baseball for the Braves on a Wednesday as they sweep away the St. Louis Cardinals with a 5-2 win behind Bryce Elder. It was a very well-rounded game for the Braves. We got a lot of great stuff to talk about on this edition of the Braves POSTCAST. Before we get started, though, I want to remind you to subscribe to Locked On Sports Atlanta right here on YouTube. Go ahead, click the bell to enable the alert so you'll be notified every time we drop a new episode. And make sure you subscribe to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcast. Jake, it looks like the Braves have found a subscription service for victories to start the season, and it's been going pretty well. 5 out of 6 to start the year on a road trip. That's exactly what the Braves were looking for out of the gates, but it was anything but a given, especially against a team as tough as the Cardinals.
Yeah, and look, we've seen them get off to some slow starts the past couple of years. So to see them get off to a 5-1 start on the road, and as you said, against a good Cardinals team, and I'd say they also have a pretty good formula of scoring a bunch of runs early and then just kind of cruising to a victory. I like that formula as well.
Yeah, that works out. I feel that it allows the pitcher to know that they've got that run support early, maybe settle in, pitch a little bit differently, a little bit more comfortably, I would imagine. Haven't thrown a lot of Major League Baseball games, but from talking to people who have been involved in them, early runs make everybody feel a little bit better, play a little bit looser, and have, I would imagine, a little bit more fun by the time that you hang another W up on the board, as the way the Braves have in 5 out of these 6 games, and in all 3 against St. Louis. Let's get inside the box score of this one. Game 6 of the season, Braves win 3 in a row against the Cardinals, and they're now 5-1 on the year. 5 runs, 10 hits, no errors, 6 left on base on this day. Cardinals dropped to 2-4. They had taken 2 out of 3 from the Blue Jays, and really, offensively, they looked great in that series. Not quite the case, though, here. 2 runs, 6 hits, no errors, and 6 men left on base. Bryce Elder, the story of this day, he picks up the win in his first start of the season, 1-0. Miles Michaelis takes the loss. Jesse Chavez came in to get the final out, record a save. 2 hours, 27 minutes time a game, 36,300 the attendance. And the one, I guess, attendance that the Braves needed to figure out with Max Fried down is who is going to be stepping on the mound to make this start. The answer to that question was Bryce Elder. 6 innings of shutout ball. I would say this is quite a debut for Bryce. And if there are any questions about the quality of the competition that he was mowing down at the end of last year, this was a different story.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looked just like the Bryce Elder we saw at the end of last year when everybody was saying, he's doing it against the Nationals and the Marlins. Like you said, this is a really good Cardinals lineup. I believe this is the first time all year they didn't have double-digit hits in a game. So, yeah, just incredible stuff from Bryce Elder. And this one, a little shaky to start in that first inning, especially walked the first batter, got a big double play, and then hit Goldschmidt. But after that, really after the second inning or so, calm down. And again, with that lead, you can do that and just focus on pounding the strike zone and letting that incredible defense behind you go to work. So love to see that from Bryce Elder. Again, I said this yesterday. He's got so much movement on his pitches. Yeah, he gave up a ton of hard hit balls, but a lot of them are just spiked right into the dirt for some ground ball out. So, again, as I said in spring training, I didn't think it was much that Bryce Elder lost the 5th starter job. I think that had more to do with the fact that Schuster and Dodd were pitching extremely well. Bryce Elder is still a really solid pitcher, and I think the Braves are comfortable and know what they have with him. And 6 shutout innings, I hope that's what they get from him a lot this year.
That would be nice to see. And I feel like that decision that was made kind of at the midway point of spring training, it wasn't like Bryce Elder had 4 or 5 starts where he just got shelled every single time. He had a couple of rough innings, but honestly, he didn't get the final 2 weeks to kind of round into form. And that's something I talked about with some of the guys up in Gwinnett just last week. They feel like they were able to get some work in and get themselves where they want to be now that opening day is here. But you can only have so many starters in the rotation. But as we found out, this depth is extremely important because you're going to need to have 5 at all times, and health can make a very big question mark or two appear on that sheet, as has happened for the Braves in their rotation, not just with a 5th starter battle, but with Kyle Wright on the shelf, with Max Fried now on the shelf. Somebody like Bryce Elder could play a pivotal role here in the early portion of the season, and that's to take nothing away from what Dylan Dodd did the night before. The Braves got some very good performances from some young pitchers to help sweep this series after Charlie Morton took care of the opener. 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts for Bryce Elder, 79 pitches. I think we're going to be seeing him again. I don't feel like this is a one-off spot start, particularly with Jared Schuster being optioned down, but I'm not sure what kind of dominoes will have to go down in order to get this all aligned the way it needs to be. Maybe we save that discussion for another time. Bullpen after him came in. A little bit of action for the Cardinals later on in the game. Michael Tonkin gave up a home run to Jordan Walker, the first of his career, possibly the first of many. That's a big slugging kid. And then a late run by the Cardinals to try to get a little something going against Colin McHugh. And Jesse Chavez was able to put out that fire. Matt Olson, how about him? Big day for the Braves first baseman. 3 for 5, a homer, 2 doubles, 3 runs knocked in. And we talked about defense. You were touching on that. Matt made an incredible play, diving to get a double play in the 9th inning, and was flashing the leather in this series. That's something that was really advertised with Matt Olson when the Braves got him, was not just, hey, this guy can hit a bunch of homers. This guy can also pick it over at first base, and he was doing it today.
Yeah, and you talk about that 9th inning got a little sketchy there for a moment. And if Matt Olson doesn't make that play, it perhaps gets really sketchy, and you need 39-year-old Jesse Chavez to come in and close things out as he does. But yeah, just an incredible play by Matt Olson there. Big day at the plate after a rough day the previous game, but 3 for 5 at the plate, 2 runs, those 2 doubles, making Acuña run all day long from first base, which is a lot of fun to see. And then the home run as well. I mean, he, again, especially against right-handed pitching, he has struggled early on, small sample size against left-handed pitching, but he is absolutely murdering the ball against right-handers. And again, we've all said it. I think he's in for a big year, and we're seeing just how great he can be, all these extra base hits that he's racking up.
Yeah, you brought up 2 of the best plays of the day, and it was watching Ronald Acuña Jr. score from first base. That one in the first inning, if I saw correctly, 30.2 feet per second sprint speed for Ronald Acuña Jr. If you needed another verification at this point, just if you're asking for one, that Ronald Acuña Jr. is all the way back this year, if the offensive exploits, the throws a night ago, the diving, sliding all over the place, hitting home runs, doing all the stuff, well, we're watching this elite sprint speed head around the bases, not once but twice in this game. Always exciting. I think that fires up the team in general, and it's always great to be up 2-0 after 3 batters. But for Matt Olson, that first one didn't even make it to the wall, and Ronald Acuña Jr. was absolutely flying, and a feet-first slide. We haven't seen too many of those from Ronald Acuña Jr., and I think for good reason last year because he was dealing with the knee. But that's just, again, another sign that this guy is all the way back.
It is. And look, how about the infield hit that he got on a routine ground ball to shortstop? That was the one I think that I saw was 30.2 sprint speed. But I mean, just flying down the line, you got to know as a shortstop who's running and to get rid of that baseball. And then right after that, he runs all the way from first to home on a ball. Like you said, it was cut off in the gap, and he's still able to come around and score. So incredible stuff from Ronald. I mean, yes, if you didn't think that he's all the way back fully healthy, I think he definitely showed it to you in this game with how he was running the bases. It is so fun and so exciting to see this version of Ronald Acuña Jr. back. Hopefully he can keep it up all season long, because if he does, he was my pick to win NL MVP, and I think he's on a good start to that very early in the season.
Yeah, he's on the pace that you want him to be on through the first couple of series. And the only knock I can really say, and maybe it's just a thing that we'll be willing to sacrifice, I didn't get to update the 40-40 counter today. No homers for Ronald. And as soon as he got on base, Matt Olson chased him home both times. So there were no more stolen bases for him either. But either way, any way you slice it, anyway, look at it, the Braves scoring runs is the job everybody has. And who cares how it happens? And the Braves scored enough to win on this day. 5-2 was the final score. Ronald Acuña Jr. 2 for 5 in this one. The 2 runs scored. Michael Harris, the second, was 1 for 4. But how about his incredible catch against Paul Goldschmidt in the eighth inning? That was a pretty good one. And I think Michael Harris was a little bit fired up when he dragged that one in and came down to the warning track.
Yeah, that was a fun catch. I mean, Michael Harris, he's, 227 average out of the gate. I don't think he's necessarily lighting it up at the plate right now, but his defense, I mean, what an incredible catch. And Cardinals got to look at this series and just be shaking their heads like, what happened? Because they hit a lot of balls really hard, and the Braves just played incredible defense. You heard it a lot on the broadcast today.
Oh, yeah.
Snicker talking about it, maybe one of the best defensive games he's seen. And then it carried over into today. I mean, it's just been incredible defensive play after incredible defensive play from the Braves in this series. And that's great to see. It's almost not fair. You look at a team with this much power, this much depth in the starting pitching. You're throwing essentially 2 rookies out there, and then you got incredible defense to boot. I mean, it was really fun to see in this series. But yeah, I just feel like the Cardinals look back at this one and is like, what happened? Because the Braves made every play they had to make. Even when they didn't make a play and a ball drops into left field, they throw the runner out at home. It was just that type of series for the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, everything was going their way. It was a well-oiled machine, hitting, pitching, defense. It all worked together. You mentioned some things, just the ball was taking a Braves bounce, and they were able to make the plays each and every time. And I mean, you can make an argument on this road trip. The Braves essentially had one bad inning in all 6 of these games. It was the first inning against Jared Schuster on Sunday. Otherwise, this was about as good a road trip, a good a start to a season as you can imagine, outside of the Max Fried injury, which I do want to touch on a little bit of what's going on with the starting pitching depth. Not only did we see Bryce Elder throw a great game for the Braves to help sweep the Cardinals away, not only did we see Dylan Dodd with an incredible MLB debut that allowed him to pick up a win and help the Braves to sweep this series, but Kyle Wright is going out on his rehab assignment. That begins with Gwinnett on Wednesday. That's good news. Some not so great news. Ian Anderson landing on the injured list for AAA Gwinnett. He's dealing with an elbow issue. That, according to Justin Toscano of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I've known Ian for a while. I talked to him just a week ago. He still felt good about his, opportunity to go out and write some things for himself this year. First appearance of the season was an abject disaster. I know that he didn't want to go out there and give up 3 home runs and leave in the first inning. An elbow injury would explain some of the struggles of Ian Anderson, but we'll kind of find out as it goes along how serious of an elbow injury is it, and also how long has this thing been bugging him?
Yeah, again, you kind of just wonder, and I had somebody mention this to me after his rough start in Gwinnett, that maybe perhaps something is bothering him. But yeah, you wonder how long it's really been going on and how big of a factor it's been in his struggles. Because I mean, it's been a struggle for almost a year now. Do you blame all of that on the elbow? We'll see, and we'll find out. But yeah, wishing all the best for Ian Anderson. Hopefully he comes back healthy, and hopefully he gets back to that Ian Anderson that we were used to seeing his first couple of years in the big leagues.
Yeah, he was a difference maker for the Braves in rotation, both in the 2020 shortened season. He really kind of saved that rotation in coming up. Then in 2021, he came out, did it again, and both seasons in the postseason, he looked absolutely terrific and had some great numbers, and hopefully he'll be able to add to those at some point in the future. But for right now, Ian Anderson landing on the IL down in the minors. Jordan Luplow, meanwhile, was claimed off waivers by the Toronto Blue Jays. Want to throw that out there. He was part of the roster moving in order to get some of the starting pitching movements and moves that need to be made done. Michael Soroka, I don't know if we mentioned this yesterday. If I didn't, then shame on me. If I did, then, I've slept since then and I don't remember. But 3 2/3 innings of 1-run ball for him, up over 61 pitches. That's a great thing to see. And when you put together Dodd's performance, Bryce Elder's performance, the news about Soroka, and unfortunately the news about Ian Anderson, and knowing that Kyle Wright's about to start his rehab assignment, and you don't have Max Fried right now, you're kind of looking to, I guess, read the tea leaves and figure out some trends so that the Braves can keep their winning ways going and get this starting rotation sorted out the way that they want to before they meet the Mets at the end of April.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Soroka, like you said, good to see that pitch count get up there. You can tell he's still just a little rusty. The guy hasn't pitched on a major league level in 2.5 years. I know he had some starts last year at AAA and then that one start in spring training, but the movement on his pitches, are still there, and you can still tell there's part of that Mike Soroka in there. So hopefully he just continues to ramp things back up. I think he's going to play a factor at some point. How early, I don't think we're still sure yet, but just great anytime you get to see him back out on a mound after what he's been through.
Yeah, and he did look pretty good for Gwinnett in that first one. Pitch count, again, just over 60. If he's able to build on that the next couple of 3 outings and get up towards 80, 85 pitches, and he's able to get the results that the Braves want to see and all the stuff checks out, I mean, who knows? We could see him sooner than later, or they might give him a little bit of time since he was optioned out in order to make sure that he's had the right amount of reps before the Braves look to throw him back into the fire. But I know that Michael Soroka is ready to walk through that fire, as Pete Rose would say, in a gasoline suit, if that's what it meant for him to pitch in the big leagues again. Be that as it may, the Braves have their starting pitcher in line for Thursday. It's Spencer Strider. It's the home opener against the San Diego Padres. He will match up with Blake Snell, the lefty for San Diego. Strider picked up the win with 6 scoreless innings and 9 strikeouts against the Washington Nationals in his first outing. Meanwhile, Colorado got to Snell just a little bit. 4 1/3 innings. He allowed 3 earned runs, only 1 walk, 9 strikeouts, but Colorado able to push him out of the game in the 5th inning. Should be a good matchup between 2 good young pitchers, and we'll see just how good the San Diego Padres are, because Lord knows they made some moves over the offseason and continue to build something pretty special out there.
Yeah, and another lefty starter that the Braves are going to see. I feel like they've seen a ton of them here to begin the season, but if you're a Braves fan going to the home opener, I don't think you could have asked for a better starting pitcher than Spencer Strider. I mean, he's just so exciting and fun to watch, so should be a great atmosphere there, obviously, for the home opener. Getting Spencer Strider on the mound, the what the Braves have done the first 6 games of the year, coming in there with a 5-1 record and a sweep over the Cardinals. It's going to be an electric atmosphere. Can't wait to be there and experience that on Thursday night.
Yeah, you and me both. Look forward to seeing you out at the ballpark, and hopefully for all of you out there watching, we'll be seeing you guys out at the ballpark, perhaps on this very first homestand of the year. Braves excited to bring home a 5-1 record from this road trip and kick off a 4-game series against the San Diego Padres on Thursday night, 7:20 first pitch at Truist Park. Spencer Strider against Blake Snell of the Padres. That'll wrap things up on this edition of the Braves Postcast. As always, we appreciate you joining us. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Sports Atlanta here on YouTube. Click the bell to get notified every time we drop a new episode. Also, make sure you hit that like button. That certainly helps. And leave us some comments as well. We'll try to bring some of those into the show. And we love having dialogue with you guys and just talking baseball. That's what we do here after each and every Braves game that we can make it happen. We're going to make it happen here on the Braves Postcast. Also, make sure you subscribe to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcast. Jake's got you covered with all kinds of great stuff all season long, and you'll get every edition of the Postcast in audio form if you want to take it on the go, and why wouldn't you? The Braves have been pretty good thus far this year. I'd say more than pretty good. 5-1 their record as they come home to Atlanta. We look forward to talking to you again soon here on the Braves Postcast on Locked On Sports Atlanta. For Jake Mastroianni, I'm Grant McAuley. We'll catch you again soon. So long, everyone.